it's unclear the degree to which we would see tariffs in a Trump 2.0. So, but let's just assume 10% across the board. Again, we've heard numbers that are much bigger than that. We're not sure how much of that is just election year rhetoric. But I think just as a base, let's assume a 10% increase across the board, tariff increase. If you get that, that would increase inflation by 1 percentage point. So if you're around 2.5% from a core inflation perspective, you're going to jump to 3.5%. Now, here's what I think is really important to keep in mind. Two important things. One, that would last for 1 year, right? The inflation rate increase would last for 1 year, right? Unless they're going to do tariffs in year two, the sort of the year-on-year calculation will just shake out, and you'll go back down to where you were previous. But the price level will remain elevated, just like we're seeing now. And I think we know in the United States, we've seen this. I mean, one of the reasons why consumer confidence is so low is because consumers are really having a hard time dealing with higher prices. I mean, I think that's the distinction that we have to make. Main Street follows prices. Wall Street tends to follow the inflation rate. Those are very different animals. Now, here's the other thing I would highlight. What is the Fed's reaction function to this? I think people like to think, well, if you're going to have a higher inflation rate, then that means that either one, the Fed might scale back its cutting expectations, or two, maybe even raise rates. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I encourage people to do this. Go back and look at the September 2019 FOMC minutes. That was when the Fed and the market was really dealing with Trump 1.0's tariffs. And I think I think a lot of people are surprised when they go back and read that. The Fed was not worried about the impact from an inflation perspective. They were worried about the impact from a growth perspective. So I think if you get tariffs in a Trump 2.0, I think it could actually usher in even more cuts.